Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions tutorials for CHS on the web. Please make this full screen for best viewing. This will be a continuation video about payroll. It's one in a series of videos about payroll. And this particular one will have to do with how to post your payroll tax liability check and make your payment for your 941 taxes. And it will be similar functions if you have state taxes that you need to pay, so this should probably get you on the right track. Now, in our previous videos we've been posting some payroll during the month of January, some payroll journal entries, and as you posted federal withholding and Social Security withholding and Medicare, you would have noticed that those amounts are going to some payroll tax payable accounts. So the first thing you should probably do when you're ready to pay your payroll taxes, or your payroll service has given you your payroll tax amounts, hopefully if you've posted your journal entries to match those, what I'm about to do will tie out to what your payroll service has given you as far as what you have due, and you need to get that payment that's taken out of your checking account posted in CHS. So what I did was I went to the accounting database general ledgers, and it opened this window. Then I did a search for my payroll liability accounts, 2300 payroll tax payable through 2320 payroll tax payable federal withholding. That's how I have those on the chart of accounts that I'm using. Those particular payroll tax payable accounts would be the ones that relate to 941, the Social Security, the Medicare, and the federal withholding. So I want a ledger of what I've posted, what has landed in my accounting transactions as a result of the payroll journal entries I was posting. And I asked for a range of dates for January 1st through January 31st. Now, if you're paying your payroll tax liability immediately, like your payroll service probably did, this will probably be a range of one date. This is the reason I'm doing this is so I can check myself and my journal entries before I post my payment. So after I performed the search, I received a list of the records here, and it's showing, and it'll always be a credit amount, a minus amount, meaning it's a liability account, and that's a payroll tax payable of $186.62 for the Social Security withheld from the employees, the three different dates or employees that I did checks for, and then the matching Social Security went into the payroll payable. You might use one account for both of these, and so you would have both of these totals together in one GL account, which is just fine. It just is how you set up your payroll categories, as explained earlier, as far as where you are posting these payable amounts due. Now, the same with Medicare, the employee withheld part and the matching employer, and then here's the three amounts from the three checks for federal withholding. And I look at this number down here and I say, yay, yes, it matches, what is due, what my payroll service has reported to me is due for 941 taxes. So what I'm wanting to do is post the payment of these so that these all end up being zero. So I went ahead and printed a report using the reports button, and I printed the general ledger of transactions, and then once it opened I exported that to a PDF. So in the interest of saving time, I minimized the PDF, and here's a ledger that I can have down in my taskbar as I post my payroll liability and post the check for that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go home, and then you're going to post this bill to these amounts to a vendor so that you can just post the check as paid and get it out of your checking account. You could also always go post a journal entry with a minus amount to your cash account, and then the plus amounts to the various payroll liability accounts. But let's do ours through payables, because we like to track by vendor what we've paid. Our vendor that we pay, that we set up for paying our payroll taxes, was the Bank of America 941 taxes. So I'm going to click the button to post a quick bill, and it's going to fill in some things for me, but I'm going to use the date of January 31st, and it's going to tell me that that's in the future, and that it's due there. And then I'm going to type here 013115-941 as my document ID number. Now the GL that's dropped in here, because when I set up this particular vendor, I said the GL was 2345 for payroll liabilities, just so that I could be close to the payroll liabilities for selecting the one I actually really need. So that was the one for payroll liability for federal withholding. And I'm going to type a description here: Bank of America 013115-941, or I'm just going to put 941 taxes. One thing you might do, tax payment, is that you might set up a default description for this vendor that always drops in, so you don't have to type that in on your first line. So now let's take a look at how much was for the federal withholding on our report that I have minimized, $615.25. So we're going to put that right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this little icon to copy the line. And then we're going to select our Social Security withheld so that we can get it cleared, and we'll look at our report. And the Social Security withheld, the 2300 account, is $186.62. You might have printed this out, which would make it easier for you just to have it sitting there beside you. I'm going to copy that line. Since I know that the amount is the same for the employer matching, in my case, I'm just going to change the GL number so it'll clear that liability account. Then I'll copy this one more time. Now we're interested in the Medicare withheld, so we go to the Medicare withheld, and let's see what that amount is. That's $43.65. So we'll change this amount here to 43.65. And then I'll copy that one more time so I can clear the employer payable. Do my drop down. And that's the Medicare payable for employer, and that's also matched, so that's $43.65. So now I go down here and the total of my payment is $1,075.79, which should be the same as what my liability accounts are totaling to for 941 taxes. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this, and since the payroll service paid it for me, I'm just going to post the payment of this so that it's not showing up as an unpaid bill of some kind. And they paid it out of my payroll checking that I gave them, and we'll use the date of January 31st, get told that it's in the future. And then I quite often, since it's not really a check, it's a payment made outside by somebody, I'll use a 1 and a period and 6 digits that represent the date for the check number. It'll check and see if I've used that before. And then I'm just going to post it as paid, which means that amount just came out of my checking account. And then what I'd like to do is use the tab to go back to my accounting ledger. It's still showing the search because this is just on my browser sitting dead. So what I'm going to do is refresh this. And notice now that my payments from accounts payable have come in, the Bank of America tax payment. And all of these are zeroed out, meaning that I did post that correctly. And we're all done with taking care of posting that payroll tax payment. Like I said, if you have some state withholding or other types of payments you need to make, you can look up your liability accounts here to see what the total is in them and post that payment. Thank you for watching.